Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. My name is Jerry. Thank you so much for returning for another episode. As I cross the street here, because the parking at the diner is just, well, good morning to you. The parking at the diner is just horrendous. So this morning you have caught myself, Billy Bob, Jim Bob, and Stan, and of course we are on Pine Cove Farm. I almost said Goldcrest Valley there, didn't I? Keep me honest now, boys and girls. So we are on Pine Cove Farm, and you've just caught Billy Bob, Jim Bob, and myself having coffee this fine morning, bright and early. We basically were waiting out a little rainstorm that came through just a few minutes ago. As you can see in the upper right-hand corner, we've got wet crop indication there, so we don't have anything to harvest, so that's not a problem. But we were just basically meeting to plan out the events that would need to take place, not only today, but in the next coming days. Of course, that's game days, of course. And, we have a considerable amount of farms, or considerable amount of fields, I should say. And we've just put together a game plan to get everything planted. And of course, we are plowing everything under first. I can speed up a little bit, I guess, up to about 50 miles an hour here. And our little supply truck will do a total of 88, though, as I break the law, but let me slow back down a little bit. Anyway, yeah, so we've got a total of about 9 fields, I believe, including, and that's not including one dedicated grass field that I have planted. And even though we have quite a bit of grass around the edges of the fields and everything, it's a lot easier to mow, especially bulk grass and hay and all that for our over 100 head of cattle by having a field dedicated to it, because we can do course play. Of course, we can do course play around field edges as well if we define those field edges. But this will be a lot easier for setting up a course play route, so that we basically don't even have to manually mow if we don't want to. We can set up a course play route to mow and set it up, and then tether it if we want hay, and of course then windrow it if we do tether it. But if we don't windrow it, we are using the Krone Big M mower, and then of course we can set up a course play route with our forage harvester to pick that up and transport that wherever we want it to go. So as we get started here in day 2, because in the very early stage of spring, it's a little bit too cold to plant anything, and we just kind of wanted to make sure that all of our hard work would actually be best used. So that is kind of what we are doing here. And I can see that Billy Bob once again forgot to set the parking brake on his tractor, and his tractor just rolled right down the hill there. So we're going to help Billy Bob get his tractor back up to the starting point there. And we are obviously not going to do grass. Let's see, we are going to do, what field is this? Let me just get my notes here. Bring up that, field 3. Let me get out of the cab so so yeah, we're gonna do wheat in this field. So let me just bring him back up to the top of the field here. As I said in my sort of preview, or maybe episode 0, I think I spent about 10 or 12 minutes just kind of setting the stage for what we were going to do with this map and how we were going to play this map. And of course, we had started with, well, I set my money at $100,000. We did sell some milk overnight, and we do have a wind turbine that's generating some income as well. So I think our income is going to do just fine, but I just wanted to make sure that we would actually have enough to pay our employees, as well as pay for seeds and fertilizer and such, before we can get anything really coming in here. So let's just, I'm going to cheat just a little bit, and I'm going to use the GPS mod just to get Billy Bob lined up here with the world, get him square with the world here, and then we will go ahead and get rid of that, and pull him up a little bit further here, and he's on wheat, which is good, and we will hire a worker, and they are off. So Billy Bob is officially planting wheat. This is our first crop other than the default or the field that we set up for grass. So not a problem there. All right, so we're gonna drive up here because we're actually going to Stan. We dropped Stan off just a few minutes ago, and so Stan is going to he's going to tend to some of our animals and stuff and do that. And Jim Bob is going to start plowing, and then we're going to come in behind him and go ahead and seed this field as barley. Alright, Jim Bob is off on his way. And try not to get run over there as we hop out of the tractor. And then we will head over here and probably need to wait for him to do a pass and then come back and do another pass because our working width is going to be a little bit larger than Jim Bob's, but that'll kind of give me an opportunity to set the stage here just a little bit further into kind of what we're doing here. Obviously we are using big equipment because we have big fields. We have, like I said, lots of fields. When you start with the seasons mod, and of course you guys can figure this out once the seasons mod comes out of the beta state and is available for more or less general release to everyone, you'll be able to figure out what it is that you want to do and how you want to do things. But by default, Stevie gave you one field on this entire map, and that was field number 5. And obviously you start with when you apply the seasons mode, you're starting with basically day 1, spring, early spring. I have just found, and again, this is sort of my impression, is that it would be very, very slow going. There wouldn't be a whole lot to do when you start factoring in what you can do versus what you can't do based on the season that you're in. Obviously, if you're starting from day 1 season, if you're running 3-month seasons, you're in early spring. We're basically in mid-spring at this point. And so, yeah, essentially, there isn't a whole lot to do. So you'd be spending a lot of time fast forwarding, I think, time, and then just kind of to get through your season so that you can harvest that field and then, buy another field and then just rinse and repeat. And it would just take really probably a long time. And there are so many maps. As I told Reefy 1952, he made a comment about the fact that there's just so many maps, and I replied to him and said, yes, so many maps in so little time. And that really is the case. I mean, there really are so many maps and so many excellent, really good maps that are out there in this day and time. And I would just rather spend good hard effort at playing a map and not having to waste so much time fast forwarding and all that kind of stuff, and then just get our job done and get on with life. So Jim Bob is coming back for his second second pass here. So once he completes his turn and starts heading back down the other direction, then obviously we will do what we need to do. And let's see, this is field number 2, I believe. Yes, it is. So it's field number 2. We're going to do this in barley. And let's see here, barley right there. Okay, so Jim Bob is doing an excellent job, and he's being very quick about it as well, which is also good for us. So we will go ahead and unfold. And of course, as I have said so many times, there is absolutely no right or wrong way to play this game. With Lawfolds, we're taking a little bit slower approach to things. We're kind of playing what I affectionately call career mode, and well, maybe not so affectionately, but it is what I. Let me get square with the world here so that our course will line up here a little bit better. New, there we go. And working with automatic, we don't need an offset, but we do need to slide this little baby over to the edge of the field like thus, like that. That looks good. And we will just make a kind of a U-turn here, come around and get back on it. There is no right or wrong way to play the game. If you want to play in career mode, if you want to start off with what they give you and play it that way, you can certainly do that. I encourage you to do it at least once, just simply because that way you sort of get the idea, you get the hang of how things work in the farming empire. But once you've done it once or twice, you know, it's probably you're probably good to go. And let's go ahead and get. We are a bit off here. Let me do that again. Get rid of this offset. Slide this over just a bit again, and back up. I tell you what, let's make it easy for ourselves, and we'll just do another turn. It's all right because Jim Bob, we're giving Jim Bob plenty of time to make some headway there on it before we're going to be crawling up his tailpipe, which we certainly don't want to do. So we'll just make one more circle here, and then we are going to get busy on this because, as I said before, we have a lot of fields to plant, to seed, and we need to get going. All right, and we are off. So we've got 3 tractors going right now. We've got Billy Bob planting wheat over in field 3. We're planting barley while Jim Bob takes care of our plowing needs. There's a good screenshot, I think. I'll put our cruise control on so my foot doesn't wear out. And I'll just talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I looked at when I began setting up the map. You know, I looked at what our own fields were going to be, and I'll just bring up the big map here where you can kind of see that. Field number 16, which is kind of hidden by the GPS HUD. We're going to basically rip that field down the middle, or split that field down the middle, and we're going to plant potatoes on one side and sugar beets on the other. And the reason why we're going to do that is because, well, technically we just don't need, these fields are way too big. Even using the big equipment, it's just way too big to be planting sugar beets and potatoes. It'll just take way too long, and you guys have so much other things to do than see me spend, you know, hours, even if I do it off camera, doing sugar beets and potatoes. So yeah, so I'm going to split that field down the middle. Let me just make sure we've got a good connection there, no gaps. That looks good. So the other things that I took a look at, and the rest of the fields we own over on the right-hand side of the big map, fields 2 and 3. So fields 2 and 3 are basically going to be our wheat and our barley fields. We're going to basically plant one crop of each type of fruit that's on this map. And so that includes soybeans, barley, wheat, rye, corn, sunflower, oats, canola, potatoes, and sugar beets. So fields 2 and 3 are essentially the closest fields to our main farm. And so I chose these 2 fields for wheat and barley because both wheat and both barley give us a swath, a windrow of sorry, I was looking at a text message. I am on call again this weekend. Sorry about that. They give us straw, and so our carting distance from the field to the main farm or to the silo is relatively the shortest distance from these two fields. I then looked at other fields that I might want to kind of group together, not necessarily make into one big field, because these fields are big enough as it is. I don't need to necessarily make any additional fields. But I started looking at fields that I would group together as far as by the harvester header type. So as soon as I get back on my line here, I will bring up the map again so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Lower the seeder, put our cruise control on, and we're off again. So as I bring up the map again, I'm sort of looking at fields number 6 and 17. 6 is going to be corn, and corn for the farm, because we're basically going to plant corn on field number 9 as well, but that's going to be for the BGA. Again, looking at carting distance from the field to where we want to take the final product. Field number 6 will be corn. Field number 17 is going to be sunflowers. Both of those fields are obviously harvested via the corn header, if you choose to do it that way. And so you could basically knock those two fields out with only having to run the combines up that direction with the corn headers on them, and everything is good. Then looking at field number 4 is our big grass field. Field number 5 will be done in rye. Field number 7 will be done in oats. Field number 8, that's another big field. That's going to be canola, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the method to my madness, if you want to refer to it that way. And I am sometimes quite mad about things, but that is sort of how I have sort of laid this out in thinking. And do we have enough room? No, I think I'm going to need to give Jim Bob a little bit more time here. He's coming back down, so we should be able to head back north here momentarily. Alright, well, I did a little bit of editing there and gave Jim Bob a little bit more time to give him a little bit more space between the two tractors here, so we should be hopefully good to go. And also I had realized that I had failed to turn off the automatic purchase of seeds and fertilizer and such by the AI, so I happened to look up in the upper right hand corner and I saw our money was basically draining out of our account, and so I forgot to make that change. So anyway, laying out the farm, laying out the fields by fruit type and everything is, in my opinion, kind of important, because it will help you save a lot of time in carting all the various things. And the same applies even if you were going to bale the straw or whatnot. You still want that to be as close as possible. And of course, our huge grass field, it is where it is because it's sort of at the corner of the map. It's sort of out of the way. It's not smack dab in the middle of the farm or the map, and we will have a little bit of a carting distance, but it's not a problem. Course play is going to certainly get its work out on this map, and I look forward to actually using it, because I think it has matured well enough that between that auto combine and even the regular hired AI, which, by the way, earlier today when I was, and by the way, I'm recording this on Friday the 24th of February. The very first thing this morning, I got up and needed to do a little bit of work while I was having coffee before I went to the office, and fired up my gaming machine and noticed that it took an update for Farm Sim 17, and so we've got now 1.4.4, and it fixes about a half dozen, maybe 8 different things I think that this patch addresses. and improved AI is one of them. So we'll see how that works as we sort of progress, because again, I'm going to kind of use a varied approach to things. I will use regular in-game AI. I think we'll probably use auto combine some, and of course we're going to use courseplay. So speaking of courseplay, Eustace Pharmer, my very dear friend, almost feels like a brother from another mother kind of thing. He and I are very similar in age, and it's just been a wonderful friendship, getting to know each other. But he twisted my arm. Now I know that you might be saying, well, what kind of friend twists another friend's arm? Well, it's the friend, I suppose, that is one who encourages and motivates and all that good kind of stuff, all those good positive characteristics. And so Eustace had commented on the courseplay tutorial that I did last week about selling grain when you needed to reverse to empty your tractor and tipper at a sell point. And so he basically said that, you know, he appreciated my style of tutorial, sort of no nonsense, I believe is the exact words that he used. And so he encouraged me to actually do more courseplay tutorials. And I said, well, you know, if you are twisting my arm, okay. And he's like, okay. And he gave me a good big twist of my arm, and it smarted. So I'm going to do more courseplay tutorials in the sort of common sense approach that I like to do things. So those will be forthcoming in stages as I can sort of create them and whatnot. So I'll sort of cover the entire gamut of different possibilities for courseplay. Again, I know a lot of it is already out there, but those guys have their style of doing things. I kind of have my style of doing things, and who knows if it helps really just one person or maybe a couple of people, then it will be worth the actual work and everything to get that done. So I'm looking forward to doing that and bringing it to your all's attention. Of course, most of you that's probably watching my channel right now are probably old hat at courseplay. But even if you're not, if it's something that will help you, if you get one thing out of it, again, it'll be worth my time to do it. So, because again, hey, you know, I enjoy doing this stuff. I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy learning new things, and then of course helping to teach you all that as well. But you know, it's kind of what my job is in a way. My real 8 to 5 kind of job is, you know, being in the IT world. Part of my responsibilities are to, you know, help. Obviously, I learn new technologies and I help teach those or support those to those who need to learn about that kind of stuff. And so it's kind of a natural thing what I'm doing. Let me just bring up my HUD just to make sure that I'm still set on barley. I did do a pause a few minutes ago just so that I could let Jimbot get ahead of us there, and I think the gap is working out pretty well. So you know, a couple of episodes ago I talked about cattle and crops, and I talked about the fact that, you know, I sort of felt like we were getting close to that window of when cattle and crops might be, you know, coming available to us. And I sort of said, you know, anywhere from 1 week to 5 weeks, because kind of, you know, we're sort of in the last week of February, and of course, you know, it has been advertised or, you know, suggested that the release date would be sometime in March of 2017. Got an email from Cattle and Crops via their Kickstarter communication process. And basically, there's going to be a delay. There's going to be a delay in the release of the early access, basically because of the current state that the game is in. And let me just make this turn and I will tell you more about this momentarily. By the way, just while I'm turning here, because I can more or less say this without looking at any notes or anything, because I am heavily using mods in this on this map. Obviously, everything that you see in front of you right now, with the exception of the Challenger tractor over there, are mods. So the John Deere 9 Series is a mod, and this Cedar is also a mod. And everything is listed on my mod spreadsheet, so if you want to grab these for your virtual farm, then you can certainly do that. Just go to grizzlybearsims.com. The link is down below the video, and you can look at my mod spreadsheet there. Anyway, back to cattle and crops and this email that I received. So basically, the email reads, and if you've received this email because you're an early adopter, then obviously I'm telling you something that you already know, but in case it might have got hung up in your spam folder or whatever, here we go. We've made the decision to postpone the planned start of the early access phase for a few weeks. The reason being the standard of quality that we've set as a goal for the game. Currently, we're not 100% happy with a few game aspects concerning both the performance and gameplay bugs. We are certain that we're able to improve these areas considerably and think a little bit of extra time is the key to creating an optimal gaming experience for you. And let me just make the turn and I will continue. Alright, it continues by saying we're specifically working on improving frame rates concerning vegetation, that's grass, fruits, and trees. At the same time, we're implementing our dynamic weather and cloud system, creating tutorials, and of course handling the internal test phases. At the moment, the programming division is working on gameplay elements such as detailed feeding and fattening system, a realistic biogas plant simulation, the implementation of UI and AI systems. Most of these areas have been completed, others still require a bit of fine-tuning. Meanwhile, we've spent the past 2 months fixing, adjusting, and tinkering with the vehicle's physics and handling, and have added significant enhancements. Vehicles and equipment use virtual real data in cattle and crops, be it the weight, the suspension, or the engine power. Simultaneously, we've added 3 realism levels that will allow great driving experience for both novice and established pros. All in all, we're planning to add a few weeks to incorporating the improvements and test phases mentioned above. An exact date will be announced about 2 weeks before release. Let me make my turn and I will continue with my thoughts on this subject. Alright, so my thoughts on this subject are as follows. Thank you. I mean, really, I say thank you to Cattle and Crops for delaying it a couple of weeks. Even if they delay it a month, okay? If it's not ready, it's not ready. I don't want them to feel obligated to rush this game out, even in its early access preview state, just because 6 months ago or 9 months ago somebody wrote a date on a piece of paper or into a project spreadsheet, a project plan to say this is when we're going to do it. If it's not ready, it's not ready. The last thing I think that they want to do or need to do is rush this out and cause undue frustration and just undue frustration and confusion in the community. So I basically say thank you to them for having the common sense, the brilliance to basically put a pause to it, because I think that is in everybody's best interest. Now obviously Jim Bob is just kind of I guess he is ready for his coffee break. I told these guys to make sure that they take proper breaks and all that kind of stuff, and so I guess he did that and just left his tractor right in the way. I would hope that maybe, in some future stage of Farm Sim by Giants or even Cattle and Crops, that, things like this would, that, true AI, and he's going to forget to set his parking brake again. Okay, so here we are. Let's just make sure that we are still in. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, folks. These articulated tractors kind of have a mind of their own with regards to how they will set and behave while you're not using them. All right, one last pass, and we will be done with this field. No need in spreading seeds all the way over to the other side there. We'll just do it like that. Lock in. And drop our seeder down and proceed. So anyway, I appreciate, I basically say, thank you to Cattle and Crops for putting a pause in this. There's no reason. I'm an investor in this game, early adopter and everything. I'm not concerned about it. I say thank you for putting the pause in, and work on it, guys. When it's ready, let us have access to it, and until that time, we'll just continue doing what we're doing, because that's what we are going to do. All right, well, folks, we are a little over 30 minutes into our very first episode, our first real full episode here on Pine Cove Farm. We've accomplished a considerable amount. We've got 2 fields plowed and seeded, and so I will be back with episode number 2 while we will continue in this game day, doing pretty much the same thing. I mean, in this early stage of gameplay, for this map, it's going to kind of be rinse and repeat for just a little while, because that's really all that we have to do right now, is just plant and get our crops in the ground, and then obviously in a few game days from now, the fun will begin, harvesting and then doing a few other things as well. So as time permits, obviously I will try to mix things up as best as possible, because I know you like to see different things, and I like to be able to bring you different things. And so I will turn the seeder off now. So thank you again for watching. I will just say that, and I will be back again, still on Lawfold, still on Pine Cove Farm, and just having fun bringing you these episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye bye.